The series begins in the year 2036. The world has been completely destroyed because of the T-virus outbreak. The environment on Earth has collapsed, governments have fallen, and cities have been destroyed. The number of humans is now very small. Around 6 billion people suffered severe brain damage that turned them into violent cannibals known as the Zeros. Most of the world has become empty wasteland, so the remaining humans live inside fortified cities surrounded by massive walls called strongholds. In London, Jade works as a university researcher. She is extremely organized and specializes in studying the aftermath of the global catastrophe. Her project focuses on documenting any new mutations among the Zeros. Because of that, she travels frequently and keeps in touch with her partner Arjun and her daughter B through video calls. Jade puts on perfume to hide her scent, then leaves with a rabbit to conduct an experiment. After setting up a camera, she places a drop of blood on the rabbit and releases it in an open area. A group of Zeros smell the blood and start chasing the rabbit. The rabbit quickly runs away while the Zeros scatter after it. Jade notices that they still lack coordination and teamwork. When she tries to leave, she accidentally cuts her arm. The smell of blood immediately alerts the Zeros and a massive chase begins. Jade runs as fast as she can, but one of the Zeros manages to catch up and jumps on her. She struggles and eventually pushes him toward the security border where flame turrets ignite and burn the group. After they all die, a strange red smoke suddenly extinguishes the flames. The ground begins to shake and a giant worm bursts out from beneath the earth. Jade runs to hide, but the creature grabs her by the legs and throws her onto a car. Just as the monster is about to kill her, 3 armed men arrive and quickly shoot it dead. They approach Jade to make sure she is okay, but they are shocked when they notice a tattoo on her hand. That tattoo means she is one of the original survivors from the beginning of the outbreak. The story then goes back 14 years earlier, in 2022, 3 months before the outbreak. In the flashback we see the twins Jade and Billy moving to New Raccoon City because their father Albert has returned to his job on the Umbrella Corporation Board of Directors after a long absence. New Raccoon City is a carefully planned community built in South Africa, and almost everyone living there works for Umbrella in different positions. The girls are not happy about the move. They constantly complain that their father cares more about his work than about them. Every 2 weeks Albert takes a blood sample from his daughters but never explains why. In secret he studies the samples under a microscope, records the results, and then injects the blood into his own neck. The next day at school Billy sits alone during lunch. A girl named Tammy approaches her to learn more about her, but soon begins mocking everything about Billy. Billy gets upset and insults her back. Tammy responds by attacking her and the 2 girls start fighting until the school staff separates them. The sisters run home while Jade tries to calm Billy down, but they soon discover that the fight was recorded and posted online. Billy becomes the laughingstock of the school. The following day at Umbrella, a man named Ross shows Albert a video of a failed experiment that happened in a place called Tijuana. The footage shows extreme violence that left 6 people injured and 3 dead. The company covered up the incident, but Albert is worried because similar events keep happening. Meanwhile at school, Tammy is in the restroom when someone wearing a mascot mask attacks her and hits her on the head. Later the principal pulls Billy out of class because the mask is found in her locker, so everyone assumes she is responsible. In reality, Jade planned the whole thing to make her sister look tougher. A meeting is held with the parents. Tammy's father threatens to file criminal charges and claims that Billy is mentally unstable. At that moment Albert arrives. The man assumes he is just a regular employee, but Albert is actually a member of the board of directors, meaning he has the power to influence many companies. The man quickly apologizes for his words and forces Tammy to apologize to Billy as well. Feeling like he handled the situation well as a father, Albert invites Billy to have lunch with him in his office. After school, Billy goes to Umbrella headquarters. While walking through the hallways, she sees many of the company's projects, from advanced medical devices to holographic advertisements promoting new medication. Eventually, she reaches a waiting room but is shocked when she sees a vehicle carrying injured rabbits, revealing that animals are being used in experiments. That night, Billy asks Jade to help her secretly break into Umbrella to gather proof of the animal testing. They take some of Albert's belongings and head to the facility. Using Albert's voice message, they bypass the voice recognition system at the entrance, and his access card allows them to activate the elevator and open the laboratory. Billy begins filming the animals locked inside cages while Jade guesses that their father uses the same password for everything and logs into his computer. There she finds a video of the Tijuana incident and watches Umbrella guards beating civilians. Meanwhile, Billy opens a mysterious door and a mutated Doberman dog suddenly appears and tries to attack them. The girls jump into the elevator to escape, but the alarm system activates. The dog escapes from the lab and proves extremely strong, even smashing against metal walls. The sisters run and hide under a table while the dog passes through the hallway. Afterward, Billy tries to open the door but accidentally activates a hologram, which attracts the dog's attention. It discovers them under the table. They move just in time and run out of the room toward the main exit, but they cannot open the door. The dog jumps through a window and catches up to them, attacking Billy and biting her. Jade grabs a fire extinguisher and beats the dog until it dies, then holds her bleeding sister in her arms. The story returns to the present. Jade wakes up in a hospital inside a stronghold where all her injuries have been treated. While watching the news on a tablet, a man named Tate enters and takes her on a tour. Jade wants to return to her camp, but Tate fires a flare to show her that the walls are surrounded by zeros and that she must wait until the only helicopter returns. During their conversation, someone announces that an Umbrella helicopter is approaching. It turns out the company has placed a bounty on the original survivors of the outbreak, and Jade is number 1 on the list. Tate suddenly holds Jade at gunpoint. 2 Umbrella helicopters arrive carrying soldiers led by a man named Baxter. As soon as Tate points out Jade, Baxter shoots him and orders his soldiers to eliminate the residents. A brutal firefight begins and many people are killed. Jade manages to escape while the soldiers use flamethrowers to destroy the building. She tries to avoid the flames but soon finds herself surrounded by soldiers and Baxter, who tells her that her sister has been searching for her. Jade refuses to cooperate and jumps into a massive crowd of zeros. She falls onto a container and rolls across the ground as the zeros start chasing her. Baxter orders his men to shoot the zeros so Jade stays alive. Jade uses a transparent barrier as a shield and pretends to agree to go with them. At that moment, a resident drives a car out of the building. Jade pushes through a group of zeros, jumps onto the car, and climbs onto the roof. The driver speeds toward the exit but stops the car so Jade will not be hurt by the spikes on the roof. He then points a gun at her and tells her to stay away because her presence makes him a target as well. Jade tries to convince him to work together, but suddenly zeros start falling around them as they jump from the rooftop. The driver shoots a few of them but is quickly overwhelmed. Jade cannot save him as the zeros tear him apart. She breaks the window, takes the driver's seat, and drives away from the area. Eventually, Jade reaches Freeholdover, a settlement that has a security agreement with Umbrella. She goes to an apartment belonging to a woman named Melinda, whose husband Barry had helped Jade before. Barry is not there, but Melinda allows Jade to come inside and use her tablet. Jade calls Arjun to warn him that Umbrella is hunting her. He advises her to cross the canal to Cali, a territory controlled by an organization called the Brotherhood. At that moment, Jade hears a strange noise. She enters the bathroom and finds Barry tied up after turning into a zero. Melinda explains that he tied himself up because he felt sick and suspected he had been infected. She also says Barry has a notebook containing all his contacts with smugglers, and Jade will need it if she wants to escape. Jade prepares herself using random tools from the house and goes back into the bathroom. She discovers that Melinda had been feeding her cats to Barry. Jade manages to strike him and knock him down, then begins searching his pockets until she finally finds the notebook. Suddenly, Barry's arm snapped as he forced it free from the handcuffs. He shoved Jade aside and attacked Melinda. Just as he was about to kill her, Jade stabbed him from behind and killed him. After Jade left, Baxter arrived and began questioning Melinda about several things. Later, at the town's cafe, Jade met a man who used to know Barry. She tried to get transportation by offering her wedding ring, but the smuggler told her she first had to pay Barry's debts. Since she had no money, Jade stole a ticket from a drunk man. That night she waited at the harbor for the ferry, but suddenly Baxter and his men showed up and started attacking the smugglers. Then a drone opened fire everywhere. People panicked and ran in all directions. Jade ran too. She found a gun on the ground, picked it up, and hid. Then she saw a frightened little boy, so she carried him and went into a warehouse to protect him. A short time later Baxter's men killed or captured everyone at the harbor, but Baxter still ordered them to keep searching for Jade. At that moment a door inside the warehouse opened, and the boy's parents appeared. They had a large amount of alcohol they planned to smuggle to Cali so they could start a new life. Jade agreed to join them and pay for a place on their escape journey. The story then shifts back to 2022. Billy was still bleeding when Jade helped her move into another room and examined the terrible wound. At that moment Albert arrived. He quickly wrapped the injury and told the girls to escape through a side door because security guards were on their way. He also warned them not to go to the hospital. The sisters fled while Albert disabled the security cameras to hide their presence. He then smeared the dog's blood on his head. When the guards finally arrived, Albert told Roth and the CEO Evelyn that the facility had suffered a cyber attack which caused the dog's security lock to open while he was working late. But Evelyn was suspicious because no one had demanded a ransom. At home Albert treated Billy and was forced to explain that the dog had been undergoing treatment for a rare genetic disease. He asked the twins to keep the secret, and warned them that Umbrella would punish them severely if the truth came out. The next morning Albert examined Billy's eyes to see if their color had changed. She was still in pain, and Albert wasn't happy with how the wound looked. At the same time Jade searched the internet for reports about the Tijuana incident. She found a website claiming it had the truth, but the site was blocked by her internet provider. At school Jade was confused because her classmates were excited about having access to a new anime series. It turned out the internet service itself belonged to Umbrella, and they were blocking any websites related to piracy or suspicious content. Simon was the only one who knew how to bypass the security system, so Jade asked him to help her access the site that claimed to reveal the truth. He managed to break through the protection, and they found a discussion about what happened in Tijuana. Apparently a man went insane after being bitten by an animal and then started biting other people. Jade used Simon's laptop to enter her email address and claimed she had witnessed something similar. She told Simon it was just a prank. Soon after that she received a call from Angel, the owner of the website. He was a journalist obsessed with the unusually high number of incidents linked to Umbrella. He had worked for a newspaper, but his stories never spread because Umbrella kept interfering. Their conversation was cut off when the school principal approached Jade and told her to return to class, which allowed Angel to hear Jade's family name. Back at the lab Albert examined Billy's blood under a microscope and injected it into a lab mouse. Suddenly the mouse began convulsing. Albert quickly injected himself with a small amount of Billy's blood to stabilize his condition. Later he attended a meeting with Evelyn, who wanted to ship their newest drug and wasn't interested in Albert's warnings about the dangerous side effects. When Albert tried to step away from the project, Evelyn reminded him of his condition and how he was only alive because of her company and his daughter's blood. Back at home, Billy examined her wound in the mirror and later returned to the bathroom again. She then tried to take her dog Pablo for a walk, but the dog became scared and started barking at her. She insisted on putting the leash on him and took him outside, but Pablo ran faster than usual and headed into a garden where a man picked him up. Billy ran after them to get her dog back, but Pablo growled at her, making the man think she was trying to steal the dog. When she insisted, she struggled with him, grabbed Pablo, and took him back home. Inside the bathroom, Billy noticed that blood was coming from her mouth. Meanwhile, in the lab, the mouse began smashing against the glass cage. Moments later, Albert returned and was shocked to see that the mouse had escaped. He eventually found it hiding and caught it so he could take another blood sample. After studying its development under the microscope, Albert realized he had only 52 hours to cure Billy before she completely lost her mind. At the same time, Jade received an email from Simon. He sent her a page from Angel's website containing a long list of accusations against Umbrella, claiming the company had been conducting illegal experiments on humans. The next morning, Billy woke up confused but insisted on leaving the house. She pretended to be fine. Albert checked the wound and was shocked to see it had actually improved, so he allowed her to go. At school, Billy became irritated by how sensitive she suddenly was to the loud sound of Simon's electric scooter, but she ignored it and assumed it was just temporary dizziness. At Umbrella, Evelyn held a board meeting to discuss the Tijuana incident and their new drug. Albert reminded everyone that the drug could perform miracles, but it also contained derivatives of the T-virus, which had originally been developed by the U.S. military. He explained that an overdose could cause the virus to multiply and transform the patient into a creature that spreads a cannibalistic infection. He presented the mouse as evidence, but Evelyn responded by bringing in another animal. A vicious dog was barking at a cat, but it suddenly calmed down when Evelyn activated a visual stimulus, allowing the cat to walk away safely. She explained that another team had developed a version of the drug and tested it on humans, who reacted the same way. She believed they could market the drug as something that removes anger. When Albert tried to object because of the risks, Evelyn forced him to admit that a person would need to take 20,000 capsules of the drug to overdose, which was practically impossible. At school, Billy was walking through the cafeteria when the loud noise triggered hallucinations, causing her to run outside. During class, she suddenly felt very sick and rushed to the bathroom. When she looked in the mirror, she saw herself as a blood-covered corpse, but it turned out to be only a hallucination. Meanwhile, Simon told Jade that Umbrella had upgraded their security system, and he needed a new code to break through it. He was hesitant to try because the timing suggested they might already be onto him, which led to an argument between him and Jade. Billy saw the argument and suddenly lashed out violently, hitting both of them before running away once she realized what she had done. Jade tried to follow her, but Evelyn stopped her and offered to give her a ride home. Jade refused. Later at home, Jade found Billy sitting beside a broken glass. Billy admitted something strange was happening to her. She said the sounds and lights were hurting her badly, but the wound on her arm no longer hurt at all. Jade reassured her that the emotional state she was experiencing was just a side effect of the medication. The story then returns to the present. Jade and the family got into a car and drove to the entrance of a tunnel. They reached another crossing point where they had to give the smugglers their car and all the family's jewelry in order to join the convoy. The refugees climbed into several vans and drove into the tunnel. After some time, Baxter arrived at the same location, but the smuggler refused to give him any information. However, Baxter spotted Jade's stolen car and realized he was on the right trail. Several hours later, the convoy stopped after hearing strange creatures known as the Lickers nearby. These monsters hunt by sound, so everyone stayed silent and waited for them to leave. At that moment, Baxter and his men arrived, and the noise they made attracted the creatures. As the soldiers opened fire and used flamethrowers, the Lickers also attacked the vans carrying the refugees. The refugees were forced to get out and run. Jade used her weapon and helped the smugglers fight the creatures, which killed many people on both sides. In the end, only one smuggler survived. He and Jade managed to gather the boy's family and escape through a service hatch, leaving Baxter and his men behind to deal with the monsters. Afterward, Jade's group had to walk through tunnels filled with water. When they finally reached dry ground, the boy suddenly began to feel sick and started growling, and they realized he had been infected. Suddenly, the smuggler shouted at them to run because he had seen a giant spider while it was killing the monster. The others ran and hid, but they could still hear the spider getting closer. The father found a pipe and went out to fight the creature so his family could escape. He actually managed to hit the spider, but it wasn't enough, and the monster tore him in half. Jade fired several shots, but she ran out of bullets, so she ran with the mother and the boy while the spider chased them. When it got close, Jade dropped something on it and split it in half, killing it. After that, the mother said she wouldn't leave her son. so Jade continued the journey alone. When she finally got out of the tunnel, she found Baxter waiting for her, but suddenly the Brotherhood group appeared. They beat Baxter and captured his men. People thought Jade was with them, so they beat her too. Then the story goes back to the year 2022. In Tijuana, a man named Angel was questioning the wife of a worker who had died and used to work in a factory. She told him that her husband had been bitten while working. After that, a rash appeared around the wound, and he became extremely sensitive to light and sound. 3 days later, he became aggressive and killed many people. The woman gave Angel a flash drive containing a file called the Raccoon City incident along with a picture of an explosion. At home, Jade received a message from Simon inviting her to a party. Billy was sick, but she said they had to go because if she was going to die, she at least wanted to enjoy herself before that happened. The party was at a construction site. Simon fell while trying to perform a trick on his skateboard. Billy tried the same trick and succeeded, amazing everyone there. At the same time, Angel found Jade's address and entered New Raccoon City in a delivery van while tracking people on social media. The cameras captured his image, and Ruth sent the picture to Evelyn, who immediately recognized him. At home, Albert brought an injection for Billy, but he discovered that the girls weren't there. He tried sending them messages, but they didn't respond. That night, Angel located the party thanks to the photos posted on social media. Everyone ran away thinking he was a security guard. The twins tried to escape, but Angel caught up with them to warn them about the danger and told them what had happened in New Raccoon City. He explained that the official story said the city was destroyed by a gas leak explosion, but the truth was that it had been hit by a nuclear attack carried out by the government to hide the first outbreak of the virus. He added that Albert had been there and supposedly died in 2009, and that there were no official records of the twins existing anywhere. At that moment, Angel noticed the wound on Billy and tried to test it, but he was surrounded by Umbrella Corporation guards. Later, Evelyn confronted Angel and accused him of the worker's wife disappearing and of spreading rumors about the experiments. Meanwhile, the twins kept running in the street, but Billy suddenly felt something strange and began shaking, thinking she was about to turn. However, the moment passed, and she was fine. Then the story jumps to the year 2036. Jade, Baxter, and his men were captured by the Brotherhood convoy. They learned that opponents were hung upside down as punishment. Baxter wasn't worried because he had a chip in his arm and expected Umbrella Corporation to come and take control of the prison. There were about 300 Zeros being held prisoner by the Brotherhood. Jade met the leader of the group, who believed the plague was God's punishment for humanity's sins. According to him, the Zeros were sinners who had been transformed to kill other sinners so that only the chosen ones would remain in the world. Jade and Baxter were beaten and thrown into a cell. There, Jade noticed that the Zeros were working in a very organized way, operating the machines that powered the entire prison. Suddenly, one of Baxter's men was dragged from his cell and cut apart with a chainsaw. His body parts were thrown to the Zeros to eat. Among them was a creature called the Mother Zero. She ate first, then screamed, causing the Zeros to start working again. Jade realized that the creature was controlling them, which meant the virus was evolving. Baxter got scared and asked Jade to help him escape, promising he would report that she had died. Together they pushed the cell door until they ripped it off its hinges, then immediately killed the 2 guards in the hallway. They grabbed a radio and the keys to the cells, which they used to free Baxter's soldiers and recover their weapons. When the man with the chainsaw tried to stop them, they attacked him right away. Jade took the chainsaw while the soldiers began fighting the guards. Baxter pulled several levers trying to open the main door, but he accidentally released the Zeros. Now the group had to fight both the guards and the creatures while trying to escape the building. Baxter fought well and defeated many enemies, but suddenly he realized Jade was missing. She had found a tunnel and ran outside with members of the Brotherhood. When she heard the screaming, she decided to go back. She closed the door, separating Mother Zero from the others. Then she attacked with the chainsaw and eventually cut off Mother Zero's head. After that, the Zeros started chasing her. Jade grabbed the head and ran looking for a place to hide. She found a room and used the radio to talk to her daughter, saying kind words before the battery died, while the zeros kept banging on the door. She tried to start the chainsaw again, but it wouldn't work. Then she found a grenade and threw it at the door, but it didn't explode either. Suddenly the zeros broke the door down, triggering the grenade explosion, which killed most of the creatures and left Jade extremely weak. When one of the zeros attacked her, Baxter suddenly appeared and killed it. They started running together while Baxter kept shooting at the creatures chasing them. They found a ladder, and Jade climbed up first. But when Baxter tried to follow, the zeros grabbed him and dragged him down, tearing him apart as they ate him. Jade escaped through a sewer opening, but Umbrella Corporation soldiers were waiting outside. When one of them removed their helmet, Jade was shocked to see that it was Billy. The story then returns to 2022. Albert was searching for his daughters when Ruth took him to the Umbrella Corporation building. There, Evelyn was yelling at Simon on the phone because of the party he had thrown, and it turned out that Simon was her son. Evelyn then brought Albert to see Angel, who had been beaten but refused to stay quiet. She wanted Albert to torture him. At first he refused, but when Angel said he knew the twins, Albert got angry and started beating him violently. At home, the twins were searching for their birth certificates but instead found weapon parts, a dog whistle, and a hidden laptop. The laptop used a different password, so Jade called Simon, who unlocked it remotely. There were no important documents on it, but Simon discovered a hidden email that required a new password every 24 hours or it would automatically send the message. The email was addressed to Billy and said that Umbrella Corporation was planning something dangerous, and that a bag had been prepared for her so she could escape. Simon hacked most of the security cameras and played a looped video to trick the guards. The twins then moved around the other cameras until they found Albert's favorite picture. Behind it was a paper containing a riddle that led them to the piano, where they played Moonlight Sonata. They discovered an object holding a key. When they removed it, they found another paper that made them move the piano. On the floor, they discovered a hidden compartment containing a bag full of money, 2 passports with the girls' photos but fake names, and a gun. Simon told them that Albert must have a secret room where he hides things like that. They actually found a hidden door under the stairs. The lock needed a special key, and Jade remembered the dog whistle. She used it to call Pablo, and the dog's collar triggered the mechanism and opened the door. The twins went down to the basement, and their call with Simon was cut off because there was no signal. Down there they discovered Albert's private lab. It had all of their blood samples and a chair designed to restrain someone. There was also a box labeled RC 1998 with a DVD inside. When they played it, the video showed Albert injecting something into a mutated human. Another file explained Albert's plan for Billy, saying that if her condition got worse he would strap her to the chair. The twins agreed they needed to leave. Jade wanted proof, but when she shut down the computer an alarm went off and fire started spreading in the room to destroy all the evidence. The sisters ran to the door but found it locked, so they climbed onto a table to avoid the flames until the fire system finally put the fire out. Suddenly Albert walked into the room. Jade demanded an explanation, but he refused to answer. She pulled a knife on him and threatened him until he started sweating. Before things got worse, Billy hit him and knocked him out. A little later Albert woke up tied to the chair. He finally explained that the dog that bit Jade was infected with the T-virus, which causes mutations. But Billy seemed to be resistant to the virus. He also revealed that the twins' embryos had been genetically modified from the start so they would have superior mental and physical abilities and perform exceptionally well in school. Umbrella knew about this, and if they discovered Billy was infected they would come after them. Albert asked about Angel, and the sisters confirmed that Angel knew about Billy. Albert said they had to save him immediately before he told Evelyn, and the girls agreed. The next morning Albert went to Umbrella Corporation and secretly asked Angel, through a written note, if anyone else knew about Billy's bite. Angel said no. Albert injected him with something that caused a heart attack and killed him. A medical team rushed in right away, and Evelyn accused Albert of being Angel's accomplice, so he was arrested. Angel's body was taken to the morgue for an autopsy, But when the doctor cut into his eye, Angel's body suddenly twitched and his skin started changing color. In Umbrella's prison, Albert realized someone was in the cell next to him. He was shocked when he saw a perfect copy of himself, except with a beard. In the year 2036, Jade was imprisoned in an Umbrella base, and Billy was working with Evelyn on a plan to control the world. Billy interrogated Jade, then suddenly dismissed guards and changed her tone. She admitted she had made a mistake by choosing Umbrella. She told Jade that Jade was immune to the virus, but she wasn't, because the virus was slowly moving through her body. Billy allowed Jade to escape and told her where she could find the university research team. She even cut the Umbrella tracking chip out of Jade's arms so she could run freely. After Jade punched her, Jade grabbed Mother Zero's head and ran outside. She eventually reached the coast, where the university research team found her and immediately brought her onto their ship. There she was finally reunited with her daughter. After a while, the ship had to change course because they passed near a ghost ship, which meant some of the Zeros were living underwater. At the same time, Jade started working with Amrit in the lab to examine Mother Zero's head. They discovered that the body produced enzymes that quickly broke down when exposed to oxygen. All night they ran 55 different experiments trying to preserve the enzymes with artificial saliva, but in the end Jade's saliva was the only thing that worked. They applied the T-virus to the enzymes and discovered that one type repelled the creatures while another attracted them. That meant the enzymes could be used to control the Zeros, push them away, or lure them in. Late at night, Jade stole a boat and captured a Zero for further experiments. The creature tried to attack her, but she injected it with a sedative and put it to sleep. The next morning she tied the Zero inside the lab. At that moment her daughter came to see her and got scared, but Jade calmed her down and told her she had found a solution. She asked B to stand by the door and watch. Jade covered her body with the mother enzyme and pricked her finger before approaching the Zero. The trick worked, and the creature didn't attack her. But when B stepped closer, the Zero growled, broke free from its restraints, shoved Jade aside, and chased B as she ran to call for help. The creature reached Amrit and jumped on her, killing her instantly. At that moment a guard appeared and shot the creature. Jade tried to take responsibility, but Amrit's husband was furious and tried to hit her. Arjun pushed his arm aside to stop him. Suddenly they heard a loud sound and saw several helicopters approaching. The story then jumps back to 2005. 3 versions of Albert were working together in an Umbrella facility. They all had different personalities, but they were clones of the original Albert, the powerful leader among them. The original Albert noticed one of the clones listening to music and threatened to cut off another finger if he didn't behave. Suddenly a group of soldiers stormed in to arrest them for illegally using Umbrella property. But with his enhanced abilities, the original Albert killed them in seconds. More soldiers were coming, so he tried to eliminate the clones before they could be captured and used. The soldiers arrived sooner than expected, and Albert only managed to kill one clone before escaping. The other 2 were captured. In 2022, the 2 met again in prison after 17 years. Bert had been locked up the entire time and was shocked to learn Albert had been living a normal life. Their conversation ended when guards dragged Albert away and strapped him to a chair so Evelyn could interrogate him. Evelyn realized the injection Albert gave Angel had killed him and that Bert had created the mutating drug. Since Albert refused to follow her plan, she ordered Ruth to inject him with the same substance, causing him intense pain. At the same time, Bert killed a guard with a razor and suffocated another with a pillow. He shaved his beard and escaped the cell looking exactly like Albert. Bert then drove a stolen car to the school and kept honking until the twins came out. He avoided answering their questions and told them they would talk later. On the drive they were shocked by his reckless driving until they reached a restaurant. The girls noticed their father acting strangely, and when they saw his missing finger they realized Umbrella had injected him with something. At the same time, Evelyn returned home for dinner and secretly put medicine into a glass. Simon noticed it, but she left the bottle to answer a call from Ruth. Simon took the chance to steal some of the drug. Evelyn then asked him to send Jade a message saying she might be in danger, and he did. Jade asked for help. Meanwhile, Bert got angry at a waitress, and the girls demanded an explanation. He told them about the clones, which terrified them and made them try to escape. At that moment, Umbrella agents appeared outside the restaurant, forcing them to run out the back door. Bert used his super strength to kill the agents. Then he went after Ruth, but Ruth tricked him and handcuffed him to a car. After that, Ruth forced the twins to go to Umbrella, where Evelyn showed them Albert in terrible condition. The men took blood samples from the girls, and Evelyn revealed that none of the clones were perfectly healthy. Albert had modified the twins' embryos so their blood could be used for daily transfusions to keep him stable. Evelyn gave Albert the sample and he injected himself, quickly recovering. The twins realized they had been created for that purpose alone, so they declared they hated him and ran away. In 2036, Jade smashed Mother Zero's head and discovered a tracking chip inside it, which allowed Umbrella to locate them. The ship's captain Ski went to shore and met Evelyn, who hadn't aged at all. She threatened to blow up the ship if they tried anything. Back on the ship, Jade was locked in a room. When we came to see her, Jade told her to grab a hidden green bag and leave the ship. Later, Jade was taken to an Umbrella base and was shocked to see Evelyn dancing inside her tent. She realized Billy had been controlling Evelyn with the mutating drug and had secretly been the real leader of Umbrella for years. Billy told Jade to go find the university ship, but now she wanted to keep her so she could use her blood to stabilize herself. Billy controlled Evelyn and ordered a guard to grab Jade. When Jade resisted, the guard restrained her, but she smashed a bottle on the floor, releasing the attraction enzyme. Moments later, a massive group of Zeros stormed the base. The soldiers were overwhelmed because they didn't have enough weapons to fight such huge numbers. As the soldiers started dying one after another, the ship nearby saw the attack. Back in 2022, Evelyn returned Bert to his cell and showed him a new project, a strange human-like creature floating inside a tank. At the same time, Ruth took the twins home and told them they had 5 minutes to gather their belongings. They planned to escape. Jade distracted Ruth while Billy grabbed the bag Albert had left them despite feeling extremely dizzy. They climbed out the window, but Ruth caught them during their escape. Suddenly, Billy lost control and attacked him. Jade tried to help, but Ruth quickly subdued them both as backup arrived. Billy ran and attacked him again, allowing Jade to escape while Billy was captured and taken to Umbrella. Evelyn tricked Billy with promises of a cure. Tests revealed the T-virus was in her blood but inactive. Then they injected her with something that caused violent seizures and screams. At the same time, Simon was worried about his mother's strange behavior. Jade arrived with Pablo and told him everything, which helped him understand what the drug was doing to Evelyn when he saw her burn her finger while cooking without feeling pain. Simon called Evelyn and demanded answers, which made her lose control and reveal her true nature. He hung up and agreed to help Jade, hacking the locks and gates of Umbrella. Upstairs, Billy regained control of herself, stabbed a technician in the eye with a syringe, and injured Evelyn. When she tried to leave, she started having terrifying hallucinations of blood, alarms, and the dog, which made her collapse. Fortunately, Bert appeared and convinced her to go see Albert. The twins reached Albert's room at the same time, and the group agreed to escape together. Unfortunately, the security system activated and the creature broke out of its tank. They ran looking for somewhere to hide, but Billy lost control again, attacked Jade, and bit Simon, infecting him immediately. Guards captured them, and when Simon bit Evelyn, she struck him instantly. The clones used the chaos to attack the guards, and a gunfight erupted. Ruth had no choice but to flee as his men were killed. The clones pulled the girls away to escape, while Evelyn stared at her son's body. The twins and the clones ran through the facility, avoiding security vehicles, and hid behind the first door they found. The clones flooded the lab with chemicals to create a bomb. Albert told his daughters to escape with Bert, while he stayed behind to activate it. After the three of them fled, Evelyn entered the lab and shot Albert twice, but he still managed to ignite the chemicals. Evelyn ran as the entire building burned down. When firefighters arrived, Bert stole a car and drove the twins out of the city. Firefighters managed to rescue Evelyn from the rubble, and from beneath the debris the arm of the tank creature emerged. In 2036, the soldiers tried to defend the base but were falling one by one. Billy struck Jade in anger and returned to the tent, telling Evelyn she was nothing without her. Outside, 2 soldiers tried to drag Jade away, but she fought back and freed herself. At that moment, Billy activated Umbrella's drones, which began wiping out the Zeros and allowed Jade to escape. Because she was still covered with the repelling enzyme, the Zeros ignored her, and she reached the shore where Arjun threw her a rope to climb onto the ship. Jade convinced Skim and Arjun to leave the mutated crocodile alone. In the end, Billy's drones wiped out the Zeros but also killed nearly all the soldiers, leaving only 1 survivor. At that moment, the mutated crocodile arrived ready to attack. On the ship, Jade discovered B had escaped to the shore just like she told her. Billy ran up the hill with a soldier, but he was quickly killed when she ordered the drones to strike the crocodile. When the monster destroyed 1 drone with its jaws, Billy found a grenade in the soldier's pocket and threw it at the crocodile, sending it rolling down the hill into the water where it crashed into a helicopter. Jade and Arjun were searching for B in a boat, but the crocodile's tail struck them and knocked them unconscious. Minutes later, they woke up on the shore, but Arjun couldn't walk and told Jade to go find their daughter. Meanwhile, Billy killed several Zeros while running and reached a helicopter before the crocodile caught her. The monster chased B but calmed down when it smelled her scent. Suddenly, the helicopter fired missiles, B ran, and the crocodile was killed. Jade finally found B and pulled a rifle from her bag when Billy and her men approached them. Billy began insulting her and broke Jade emotionally by saying everyone around her dies because of her selfishness. Jade agreed to go with Billy if she let B leave, but Billy hit Jade and took B onto the helicopter while Jade sat there crying and watching. And that's where the story ends. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.